As a copywriter or a marketing consultant, if you don't have this, then it will be difficult to bring on new clients who are of value. I'm Justin Hitt from Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. We're going to talk about the onboarding assessment that is necessary to bring on a new client. Now, I know a lot of you folks are chasing jobs and you're getting a project and you do that initial call and you get details about the project. You're going to quote on the project, and then whether or not the customer accepts it, you're going to move forward on the project. Well, that is something you can do in person on the phone, but if you were busy doing client projects rather than just simple assignments, would you have the time to talk with everybody who is interested in what it is that you have to offer? So we have two problems here. One problem is you don't have enough prospect flow that the simple talking to them on the phone is in the way. And second, you don't have a system for onboarding that helps you be the most prepared as possible to make that call worth every second of value to the prospect. So here's what the prospect wants. The prospect wants to know that you can write the assignment and that you're going to create some kind of result. Okay, so they want more customers, and you're going to offer them a sales letter to get more customers because you've determined they have adequate lead flow. If they have adequate lead flow, then it's a matter of making a new offer, and you've been able to confirm they have a control, so you're essentially rewriting the control. See, that's a package. That's one type of client. But what if you have a client that wants you to write a sales letter, but they have no lead flow? They don't even have another sales letter that you can reference because it's a new product, and ultimately they haven't really sold very many of the product itself. Well, that's a different kind of assignment. It's the difference between somebody who has direct response, regular sales, and wants to enhance their sales, and somebody who's looking for a Hail Mary, and they're hoping that you, as a professional copywriter, will save them. If you understand these things before you get on the call, you can establish a different perspective to work with the client. Now, yeah, while you're on the call, you can be talking and they say, well, I want a sales letter. And you say, well, do you have a sales letter that works already? And they say, no. You say, well, how long have you had this product? And they say, oh, just a month. Great. Have you sold it by phone yet? You don't want to be on the call to find out they're a startup with no money, no sales, and no experience selling what it is they have. But an onboarding assessment, which is some kind of simple form online before they get to you, is going to give you a lot of feed up front. In fact, you don't even need to hold some of these meetings when you find people that aren't qualified to do business with you. So what do you have on an onboarding assessment? There are going to be 5 things that go on this assessment, and the details of these 5 things really depend on your key services. So if you write a lot of sales letters, or special reports, or in my case, like technical reports, I go over regulatory documents. That's a unique aspect of technical writing. I can write you a sales letter, but I can go over regulatory documents too. 2 different types of projects. So I need to find that out up front. So what are you going to have on your onboarding assessment? Well, first you're going to have the core client information. It's very interesting when you have somebody fill this out. They're going to provide their name, address, and phone number. They're going to provide their title. They're going to provide a little bit of experience about who they are, a little background about who they are. And then they're going to provide a little bit about their business in a nutshell. Well, if your prospect can't get past the basic client information, then why would you talk to them on the phone? So this is the first thing on it. It seems very basic, but when a prospect sees the form, they're going through the internet, they're looking for a provider, they found your website, they like the blog posts that you've got, they like the customer case studies you've got, and now they're ready to book an appointment. And so they bring this up, and it has their contact information, and if they can't fill that out, don't want to fill that out, or they're unsure they're ready to commit, then this right here has saved you a phone call. See, it's really easy to click schedule a call. I don't know how many of you guys have had calls scheduled and the other people didn't show up. Well, this helps avoid that because, again, we're getting their details up front, but we're also able to follow up because if they fill that out, we can follow up with them. We know who they are. Next, you're going to ask about the appointment. You want to find out what category of interest that they have. So my assessment form is going to say, are we doing a project evaluation? Are we talking about executive or performance coaching? Are we talking about a retreat, workshop, or courses? See, I produce courses that I help my client deliver on site for their team because I can't tell you to go get Cub copywriters and give you the 5 ways of managing them and how to evaluate which ones are going to work for you and how to manage the assignments. That's not a 15-minute podcast. That's a workshop. So people would identify up front, are they asking about a workshop or do they want consulting services? So what is the reason they want to meet with you? Now, it could be completely different for you. You could put here, they're interested in lead generation. They're interested in customer acquisition. They're interested in customer retention. Just basically what you're doing is you want to kind of narrow the scope of the appointment. Next, you want an open form. It's going to be just an open space that's going to ask, what are the questions you want to answer in your appointment? See, they might write in there, I'm interested in hiring a copywriter and I want to see if you're a good fit for us. That's great. They might say, well, we're having challenges with a sales letter in this certain audience. Anything they put in there is great. Number 3, you're going to ask about the goals for the consultation. Now, this part is very important because it establishes a reason to meet with you and some kind of outcome that if you deliver, they've almost upfront agreed that you've provided value. So if it's a paid consultation and they say my goals for this consultation is to address this biggest challenge and to do this thing differently than we've done it in the past, or otherwise to overcome a problem, you now know how you can focus your time and effort in that call, and it makes the call more valuable, gives a greater perception of value. Now, what do you ask in there as far as goals for coaching? It really depends on what your services are. So we'll go ahead and pick the next part. Number 4 is working together. You have to have them acknowledge how you work together. So in my case, I don't do one-off, I do a one-off consultation. It's a discovery call, and it's to determine whether or not we move forward with a project or we move forward with a monthly touch point to move forward certain work. So you need to set up the expectation for the client about how you work, because you might get on a call, you might really kick it off and it's a good match, and then you put out your proposal and they never contact you back. It may be because what you do is different than what they want, and if they knew that up front, they may not have done a call. So we don't want more calls, we don't want more consultations, we want more 6- and 7-figure projects in the area of copywriting and business development and marketing. Does that make sense? So we set up this number 4 is how you work together. So you're going to explain the benefit of what you do. You're going to, this is just a paragraph, by the way. You're going to explain what you do. You're going to explain a little bit about who gets coaching or consultations or who engages with you this way. And then what it is that you offer, your unique selling proposition. So you may say, I write sales letters that convert. I do this for land management companies who help property owners increase the count of trophy deer. That's maybe a niche specialty. You might say, well, I do this for small businesses that have $1 million or more in sales and want to get to 10 million to 20 million. Again, when a prospect reads this, not only are they getting an understanding about how you function, but they also get an understanding are they in the right place and will they fit into what you can deliver? Now, you're going to have 2 open-ended questions here. You're going to ask them if they have because you're going to explain a little bit about the cost. If you're doing 5-figure sales packages, you don't want them looking for 4-figure prices. So part of this is saying that, my sales letter packages start at $37,000. They tend to include X, Y, and Z. My lead generation kits work off of this or that. I tend to work with clients who have a cost per sale of $500 or more. So you're going to establish the expectations, you're going to establish the framework, and then you're going to ask them, do you have the time and resources to continue? Okay, because they filled out this form. And now they got an idea that you're not just another dime a dozen sales writer. You're not a content farm. You're actually a experienced performance-oriented marketing consultant or copywriter. You're going to get them to commit, in a sense here, it's kind of a soft commitment, that they have the time and money to be talking with you. And next, you're going to ask them specifically, what are you looking for in this, or from a copywriter? So you're going to ask them, what are you looking for from whatever role you play? Now, I know a lot of you guys, some of you call yourself copywriters, some of you call yourself freelance copywriters, or performance coaches, or marketing consultants. It's, what are you looking for from a marketing consultant? Now, if they write in there, I'm looking for somebody to hold my hand and write sales letters for me, and that's good information. There's nothing they can put on this form that wouldn't be of value for the meeting. Now, next, number 5, we're going to continue to set expectations, and it's kind of notes about the consultation. So now we're set up the expectation in general about what it is that you do, what can they expect. Now we're trying to say what a coaching call or what a appointment is and is not. It's very important for you people to know this is not a sales presentation. That initial meeting is to discuss their project, their goals, their level of experience or position in relationship to the outcome they desire, and you have a specific role. Now, if on your call, you're going to get, so Denny Hatch used to have an ad where you could send in advance your sales letters, and then when you met, he would discuss what you did right and what you can improve in the sales letter itself. So Denny Hatch, I think Target Marketing Magazine, marketing consultant, his consultations clearly established in the ad what it is you should expect when you talk with him on the phone. So that's essentially what you're doing here. You're saying your role is not therapy. You're not there to make them feel good about themselves. You're there to give a critical analysis of a particular project so you can find ways to help them increase their sales. Perhaps when they meet with you, you're going to review their project and look for opportunities to increase sales or generate more leads, or generate leads more effectively. Whatever the generic is about who you are and what you do, you'll put it here. And I, for example, on my assessment form, I explain, I build and optimize the systems, evaluate the risk, and my team researches opportunities. So I don't do the work for you. When we get on a call, whether it's a 15-minute discovery call or it's a 3-hour working session, I'm not there to do the work. I'm there to listen to the problems, pains, and issues the client has, and to suss out 2 or 3 practical approaches based on proven methods and performance, or based on improving the system they already have. And then the client will choose the path they take. Now, when they choose the path they take, they are committing to a path, and now I hold them accountable to that commitment. But ultimately, I'm not there to make them feel good. I'm not there to sing Kumbaya. I may ask questions that make them feel uncomfortable. Like I ask a lot of times in my consultations, what's your cost per sale? How much can you pay to get a new customer? And if they say, well, I'm not really sure, I like to pay nothing, I like to make a profit on the first sale, I know what kind of person I'm dealing with, I know what their knowledge level is and their expectation, and I may not want to work with them because I know that to get customers, you rent a list, you send letters, and you get sales. If they can't do that basic part, then having a 12-part pay-per-click campaign and an autoresponder and all this other stuff isn't going to do anything for them, because they have not reached out directly to at least their past customers. And then if they can't afford to reach out at least to their past customers to get that second sale, then we've got problems that a consultation is not going to solve. So again, this note number 5 is a note about the coaching. What is your role? What are you expecting from them? What can they expect from you? And then you ask, do you understand my role? I will ask uncomfortable questions. Now, I like to say that up front because sometimes I'll ask a question. So I'll give you an example. I was working with a client, and he's making about $15,000 a month, okay? And he's asking me about this new opportunity that's come up, and he believes this new opportunity is going to make him about $1,500 a month. So I'm basically giving you round numbers here because of client confidentiality, but he's already making $15,000 a month. This new opportunity is going to add $1,500 a month. So we're talking about his time availability. And I say, are you able to spend enough time with your family to keep your wife and children satisfied? That's my tough question. He hems, he haws, and he says, not really. In fact, we're facing divorce right now. And I said, okay, if you are going to add this $1,500 a month to your income, and it's going to take additional time to do so, will this help your underlying family situation? And he said, I'm not here to improve my family situation. I'm here to see whether or not I should do this to add $1,500 to my business. My response, and again, I set this up front, so he already acknowledged that my role is not to make him feel good. My role is not to agree with everything he says. My role is not to encourage dumbass ideas. And I said to him, is it worth the $1,500 if you lose the $15,000? See, in a divorce, he already had an emotional problem with the wife's distraction. The wife didn't understand how hard he was working for the family. She wanted more time and attention. And we ended up settling on that. How do we make the $15,000 a month more profitable? See, he didn't want to do the extra work. He wanted more money so that he'd have more flexibility and underlying to spend time with his wife. But I just said, well, wait a second. Let's add an assistant. It might cost you $1,500 a month to add an assistant, but we're going to squeeze that out of the $15,000. You're going to take a little bit less money out of your pocket, and you're going to spend deliberately every week 2 hours with your wife. You're going to do whatever she wants. If she wants to go out and do something, you're going to stop working, and you're going to go out and do it with her. Now, the reason you're going to be able to stop work and you are going to work out a schedule is because you're going to have this assistant doing a lot of these low-value activities that you got your time all sucked up in. And he hemmed and he hawes, but he committed. And what he ended up doing, in a follow-up call, is he ended up optimizing the systems he had. He had an assistant in place. And by the way, when clients have marital problems, it's a male client with a wife, and they're having marital problems, we don't go get them a female secretary. We get them a male secretary who's doing specific work, and we have them work on the relationship. He ended up going to marital counseling. So he actually went to his wife and said, honey, I've been trying to add more money to the business so that we can do these things that you're talking about. I'm having financial stress, and I want to make sure that this relationship works out. So here I added an assistant. It costs me a little bit of money, but it frees up 2 hours of my week that I'm going to commit to you. Now her eyes went stars. She didn't realize there's problems in the business. The relationship improved, but he wasn't in a consultation for the relationship, but it was the tough questions that I prefixed up front I might ask that allowed us to get to a better solution. So he ended up adding $20,000 to $30,000 to his business a month so he went from $15,000 a month to 20 and then to 30 a month because he had gotten away from the business a little bit. So the reason he was trying to add this little $1,500 here and there was because he was struggling in the business. He didn't know what to do. But in the back of his mind, he was also struggling in his relationship. And so he ended up still adding to the business, but not in this new way. But it did so with less time. I don't know if you understand the value there, but he made the same amount of money with less time. And this is $15,000 net that he's putting in his pocket. So it was, in the beginning, it was a little bit less money. And that gave him a catalyst to have the discussion with his wife about, is it money or the relationship? Because it turned out his wife wanted more to spend more money. And so this free time helped him address that. Long story short, by setting up that expectation in the assessment, you can ask the tough questions to find out whether or not the company wants a sales letter because it's a Hail Mary and they're not making any sales at all, or the company wants a sales letter because they've got controls and they want to improve on what they're already doing. And then finally, you're going to ask one of these catch-all questions that it says, is there anything else you want me to know? So in this section 5, you've disclosed what the expectations are from, here's what I expect from you, here's what you should expect from me, and is there anything else I need to know about? Now, I've cultivated this over time, but Dan Kennedy has something similar. He'll actually have a survey. I've also seen somebody else's survey that is like 30 pages. But again, that's somebody who's getting $1,500 to $2,000 a consultation, and they have somebody fill out these 30 questions, knowing that they're not going to be able to fill out all 30. It's 30 or 40 questions that you answer in narrative form, and they know the person's not going to be able to answer them all, so it sets up additional pain before the presentation. But do you understand what I'm coming from here? There's an onboarding assessment, an onboarding form before someone can meet with you, so that you have something to look at before the meeting that both sets expectations for them and allows you to deliver a higher value consultation. Now, that high value consultation will increase your closing rate, but you're not going to close on the consultation. You're going to have the consultation. You're going to answer the questions on the form. At the end of the consultation, you're going to say, have I answered all your questions? Are you happy with what you've gotten here today? It sounds like there's this other project. If it's okay with you, I'd like to put together a statement of work and quote on that outside of this call. But before we end this call, is there anything else I should know? And then you end the call in a package. You have notes about what the call was about. And then when you follow up after the call, you can provide additional resources plus your proposal. Now, if you're on the call and they keep saying, hey, how much would it cost to do a sales letter? Well, it sounds like you're interested in me doing a sales letter for you, but I'm not sure that a sales letter is the right solution to get the results that you're looking for. And then you go back to the assessment and you say, you were looking for more profitable customers. If we get you more customers who are unprofitable, then you won't have this particular item taken care of. You said in your assessment that this, so did we address that properly? See, you're able to then take them away from you being a commodity and move them towards seeing you as the valued expert that you are. So I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and this has been about why you need some kind of onboarding assessment when someone sets an appointment with you. It's also a great way to set up a backlog. And over the years, I've been able to take my assessments and identify what types of solutions my clients are looking for, so I could even be more proactive in what I'm offering up front. And speaking of what I'm offering, if you want to see how these assessment works, we're redoing the assessments on the website to make them a little bit more automated. But you don't have to use like a form. You can just download a PDF file and fill it out and send it back to you. They can also do the assessment with your assistant. If you have an assistant, they can answer the questions and your assistant fills out the form. The key is you need to have something that slows people down before they schedule an appointment and allows you to gather the insights you need to deliver the most valuable appointment, and finally provide for them or confirm that you provided for them something useful before you give the quote, because they might not need anything. They might not need a quote. You might be able to help them solve some problems on the call itself, especially if it's a paid consultation. But otherwise, that extraction gives you the fodder you need to get your lead funnel full so that you have 3 or 4 of these things a week. If you have questions, visit us at www.adbriefings.co.uk. And if you're not yet a subscriber, then you want to subscribe on whatever channel you're listening to this podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.